now we're recording. Okay. We want to make sure that this is recorded so it's available for you in the future. My name is Jessica Munger, and I'm the program coordinator for Move to Amend National. I work out of our office here in Eureka, California. And thank you so much for tuning in to talk a little bit about Occupy Corporate Personhood, which is our direct action civil disobedience campaign this year. So I'd like to just start out, make sure that we have everything settled here with the recording. Okay, good. So just so we're all on the same page, you should be hearing audio now. I think we're good to go with that, but if you're at your computer, if you could just chat to me in the sidebar here that you can hear me, that would be great. And if you can't, try turning up your speakers. And if it's really not working, you could use the call-in number here on the screen. And throughout, if you have any questions, you can feel free to chat them in the chat bar to the side, and I'll answer questions at the end. And if you're really having technical difficulties, you can give us a call in the office. We have some people standing by to give you some tech help if you need it. That's 707-269-0984. Okay, great. So our agenda for this evening is just a quick overview of Move to Amend and our goals and principles. Then we'll do a short introduction to civil disobedience and direct action. Then we'll talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it and when we're doing it and how you can get involved. So Move to Amend's mission. Move to Amend is a coalition of hundreds of organizations and hundreds of thousands of individuals committed to social and economic justice, ending corporate rule, and building a vibrant democracy that is genuinely accountable to the people, not corporate interests. Our goals are to pass the We the People Amendment to make clear that artificial entities do not have constitutional rights and that money is not speech, and also to provoke discussion and organizing about how to make real the promise of American democracy through constitutional renewal. So to review quickly our principles and values, Move to Amend is committed to anti-oppression and solidarity organizing, also to coalition and movement building, to grassroots organizing, a dedication to political education, and political and economic independence. Sounds pretty good, right? Okay, so days of action. This May marks the 129th anniversary of the Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad Supreme Court case, which dealt with taxation of railroad properties and resulted in the Supreme Court establishing that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment applies to corporations. So that got us thinking about corporate personhood and how 129 years is a really old person. That's well over the hill. And so how could we use that to be creative in organizing actions around this corporate birthday, if you will? So we've seen recent instances of successful direct action and creative civil disobedience raise awareness around specific issues and pressure political elites to advocate for certain policy decisions. And these are just a few examples, but we've got the Climate March, which was a very impressive mobilization, and the Black Brunch actions, tar sands blockade, and of course Occupy. And these are just a few of the many examples of civil disobedience and direct action in recent news. But it's certainly not a new tactic. Move to Amend takes our playbook from past social movements, and there are many historical examples of direct action and civil disobedience being used to make change. Many of the earlier acts of civil disobedience were constructed to highlight the absurdities or injustices of specific laws, such as those that restricted interstate transport by people of different races, but other actions were designed to deconstruct social conventions. In many cases where lunch counter sit-ins took place, it was technically legal for black folks and white folks to dine in the same establishment, but it wasn't socially acceptable. Some laws, such as those mandating school integration, were changed long before the changes were actually applied or realized in society. And also on the opposite end of that spectrum, many explicitly racist and or sexist laws remained on the books in a municipal setting well into the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and still some today, certainly. One thing, though, that is different about civil disobedience and direct action today is that we have the use of social media. And no doubt, Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and all of those things can be a giant black hole for us to waste our time in, but also they can be really beautiful organizing tools and can mobilize folks really quickly and en masse. So we have that unique climate to work with when we're organizing in the age of social media. So this is just to highlight that there are certainly historical examples of civil disobedience and direct action being used to generate publicity, issue saliency, and also to mobilize, to really truly make change in society and in policy. So, the 129th anniversary of Santa Clara County versus the Southern Pacific Railroad will come around on May 10th of this year. It happened May 10th, 1886. And this statement by the Supreme Court that was made before the hearing says, "The court does not wish to hear argument on the question of whether the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which forbids a state to deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws, applies to corporations. We are all of the opinion that it does." So essentially, this gave corporations inclusion in the word person in the 14th Amendment. And clearly we reject that. This is absurd. And so what can we do to highlight and make public the absurdity of this statement? So why this campaign? Why occupy corporate persons? One objective is to bring attention to the absurdity of corporate personhood, to make fun of it, to poke at it, and to make theatrical how crazy this really is, the idea of corporate personhood. Also to draw attention to the Santa Clara case anniversary and the birth of corporate personhood. A lot of attention is given to Citizens United, which is certainly a big and important decision, but the Santa Clara case really was foundational in establishing corporate personhood, and so by making a spectacle of this, it allows us to talk more about the roots of corporate personhood and start the conversation with folks about what that actually means, and not just focus on money and politics, but really deal creatively with a pretty complex issue. Also, it will allow us to develop tools for future direct action and civil disobedience and bird dogging. And as many of you probably know, our Pledge to Amend campaign has a bird dogging component to it, which is really important and exciting, but there's some skepticism or maybe nervousness around bird dogging and the tools that we need to really make this successful. So this will give us some practice in using social media to promote events and to display things that we've done, to capture things on video, and to feel more comfortable with using our bodies and our physical presence in protest. And also, a goal is to expand Move to Amend's base of support through social media and links to movetoamend.org, which is always a goal. So, how can you participate? Right now, this is kind of in the beginning stages, and we're really seeking your input. So we have a working committee right now that has developed some ideas for a menu of action items. And we've got a couple things in mind, but we also know that there are a lot of people around the country who have been doing really creative, exciting things and engaging with civil disobedience and direct action already. So we're really excited to consolidate those ideas and share them so that everyone can be using those ideas where they are. And so we're seeking creative ideas and input from you. So you can certainly send us some ideas or some things that you've already been doing that are related or might be of use to other folks wanting to be theatrical in their civil disobedience. You can participate in these actions, whether or not you contribute your own ideas. We would love to have people all over the country doing these creative actions and sending them in and having videos all over the place of Move to Amenders, really being bold and making use of their creativity to draw attention to corporate personhood and educate about that and make real statements. And then you can also be the media, right? So you can video record whatever actions are happening with your group and submit them so that we can share them all around and create a collection of these creative actions. It's really important because you're certainly not going to have mainstream media coverage of this. And so we encourage you really to get comfortable with using your phone or video camera or whatever it is to capture what's happening and make that go public. And then you can apply to be on this committee. So there's always a concern of having too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. So we are looking to add a couple of people to this committee, and we're specifically looking for a couple of areas that we need help with. We're looking for detail-oriented people who have experience with social media, graphic design, press releases, video production, legal experience, internet skills. And so if any of those things jump out at you as things that you are particularly interested in and good at, we would love to help you, or have you help us, I should say, in putting this together. So we're going to be, I'll give you some information later about how you can apply to be on the committee, but that's one way to get involved and to directly participate in the nuts and bolts of putting this all together for folks. Okay, so what exactly am I talking about? What are some examples? And like I said, we've just come up with a couple of things that we think would be interesting ways to go about this, but are very aware that many of you have been doing this for a long time and might have some really great things to add. So just to give you an example of what we're talking about, and also to point out that this is both a physical and a virtual campaign. So a major component of this is capturing it on video and incorporating links into that video and then dispersing it. So that's a core component of what we're doing here. So participants will be strongly encouraged to capture the actions. One thing we thought of was that we should have multiple entry levels for this. And so we realized that direct action and civil disobedience, really has to be considered. It's not something that we just want to dive into without thinking, because there is a level of risk involved, and that everybody needs to decide for themselves how they want to engage with it, and everyone's in a different situation. And so we want to offer within this menu of action items different risk levels at which you can engage, and I mean risk of arrest when I say that. So one idea that you could do that's fairly safe in terms of risk of arrest is like lining the entrance of a corporate bank with birthday cupcakes and writing a message in chalk on the sidewalk in front of the corporate business to draw attention to their harms and kind of making a spectacle there, and having group members read selections from We the People Speak by Howard Zinn, and sort of having this birthday party out in front of some large corporate building, so that when folks come to the bank or something, they can see what's going on, get some information about Move to Amend, about corporate personhood, and specifically about that corporation. So that's a fairly low-level entry point for folks. Another would be a surprise party. So you could converge on a corporate business, sing Happy Birthday. Laura Bonham wrote a really interesting rendition to the Happy Birthday song that is aimed at corporations, and it's really fun. And you could have party favors and large posters and kind of create this big surprise birthday party and have you all out there in birthday hats singing about this really old corporation. Or you could have a retirement layoff party. You've been around for too long, it is time, sort of a thing. And that's maybe a little bit more of a risk. We talked about, what would it be like to walk into a Walmart holding a cake and singing Happy Birthday and capturing that on video could be really fun, and I think really interesting to watch later if there were a lot of these things happening all around. It could be really fun to do all simultaneously. Another example is to have like a wake or a funeral procession. So you could give funeral rites to a corporation and hold a solemn ceremony to say goodbye. It's time to die. You could also do a zombie birthday party with people dressed like zombies, explaining how corporations must be undead because of all the things they've survived, lawsuits, and take your pick of things that a real human being would not have survived through, including living 130 years. So I think that could be fun. You could have a piñata birthday party where you have a piñata filled with flyers and leaflets, and have the piñata explode, and the cards could let people know about some of the corporation's misdeeds, things that they've done against their workers or the environment or anything like that. And so you can see how that's maybe a little bit more of a risk because it's a little bit more of a spectacle and could require more time. So these are just a couple of examples. We have talked about a couple more. I know that there are people out there who have props and game boards, and I know there's like a Mr. Moneybag floating around somewhere in Minnesota, I think, and there are Supreme Court justice robes around and costumes, and there's all kinds of stuff. So I'm sure when you're looking at this, you're thinking of some things you've probably considered in the past. So this is just to kind of spark our imaginations, but we're really looking for input and ideas from everybody out there. And if you would think about it in terms of levels of risk, that's how we want to present it because, like I said before, this is a fairly serious endeavor, and we just want to be sure that we're well-versed to take this on. Okay, so when is this happening? Well, May 10th of 1886 was when this decision came down, but May 10th this year is Mother's Day, so that's not ideal for kicking off a big campaign or hosting actions. So we encourage you to plan an action for May, but that you determine the best date for your schedule and with your group. And so this is also kind of the beginning of a larger discussion that we're having within Move to Amend about civil disobedience and direct action, and we plan to do more of it in the future. This isn't necessarily an isolated thing. We've discussed additional opportunities for action around the 4th of July and around Constitution Day that might be connected with these May actions. But we want to focus on the corporate birthday stuff around the Santa Clara County anniversary. So there's a little bit of time to get going and to start thinking about what actions you might want to take, and to apply for the committee and get going with the group to construct this menu of action items. So from here, we want you to just be thinking, first of all, and compiling things that you've done in the past, thinking of new things, creative ideas, and discuss it with your group. And I would encourage you to do some research about civil disobedience and direct action, and really consider your position and your level of commitment and risk, and to not enter into this lightly, but discuss that with the group and what that could mean for you. And if you don't have a group, if you're not part of an affiliate, or if other folks in your area aren't interested in doing this or can't do this, then we can help you get folks together. We could send emails and help to get you together with some other people, because this is really the sort of thing that is much more effective if you're with a group. So we can help you with that. And look out for the committee application. I'll be putting that together, and we'll get that out soon, hopefully next week. And like I said, we're not trying to have a huge committee working on this, but we are looking for specific help. So within our committee, we have subcommittees on communications and media, which is going to be a big part of this campaign, distributing the videos that are taken, and like I said, using social media and media in general is really unique to our organizing climate right now, and so we want to make the best use of that we can, because it's one thing to have, people singing happy birthday in Walmarts in 10 different cities, but it's a different thing if that's on video and that's framed in a way that is beneficial and makes more of a point of it. We also are looking to have a civil disobedience advisory subcommittee, recognizing that that there are risks involved, and that we want folks to have all the information they need to feel comfortable going forward with this. So if you have any legal experience and want to help with that research and advisory, we'd love to have you. There's also materials that need to be developed to have this go forward. Some of them are, like I said, Laura put together a really cool song, kind of like party packages we've been talking about, to kind of help guide folks through how to do these different actions. And so especially if you or your group has done these sorts of actions in the past, it would be great to have you lend us some materials and let us know how you did it and what you needed to do it. And then outreach, of course. We want to be branding this as a move to amend sort of thing, but also we want to be working with other groups. There are lots of folks out there who are doing things like this, and lots of organizations who are engaged with civil disobedience and direct action. And so we want to get together with them and learn from what they're doing and make this as big as we can, of course. So there'll be more information to come, certainly. This is just getting off the ground, and we're excited to have you join the committee and give us some input about how this will go forward. So if you have any questions about this, we'll take some questions here now, but also if things come up for you or you get really excited about something and want to talk about it or how to get involved, you can call me at the national office, and the number is here. Again, for those of you on the phone, that's 707-269-0984. Or you can email us at info@movetoamend.org, and we can talk about it that way. Again, this is coming up kind of the beginning of May, so it's time to get started and thinking about how to really make this happen in the most effective way possible, and also recognizing that we're always learning, and so this is kind of a kickoff to more civil disobedience and direct action to come. And this very well may turn into a lasting committee that advises on this sort of thing in the future. So we're hoping to integrate this into what we do at Move to Amend, because that's what successful social movements do. And so it's important to us that it be done right, and we're really excited about this. So we'd love to have your input and help. So that's about it, actually, that I have, but we can take some questions now. And I see one over here in the sidebar. What is bird dogging? Yeah, for sure. So bird dogging is when you go and you talk to candidates in a public way or elected officials at public gatherings, and you kind of try to pin them down on things. So an example is in the Pledge to Amend campaign, some folks went to candidate forums, and they would publicly ask what a candidate's opinion was about corporate personhood and money as speech, and try to get them to say that publicly. And this is a really effective tool. If you remember when Mitt Romney was speaking at I think it was the Iowa State Fair, a Move to Amender actually said, what's your opinion about corporate personhood or something? And Mitt Romney said, well, corporations are people, my friend, and he laughed. And someone caught that on video, and then it went viral. And that was just such a small moment, but that's an example of bird dogging, and it's also an example of why capturing these things on video is really important, because that could have easily just gone away after that moment happened, and those few hundred people might have heard it, but no one else would have. And so that's an example of bird dogging. Okay, another question is, where can we find Laura's birthday song? We will put that out when we start distributing some materials. Right now it's just kind of in our internal documents, but it's really fun, and she has been thinking a lot about it and kind of came up with it on the fly. So we'll be sure to make that available to you. It's really fun. So you'll see that. Phyllis says, I would highly encourage making a corporate person. Ours is quite the conversation piece everywhere it appears, and it's cheaper to make that than Mr. Moneybags, who cost us $350. Yeah, cool. That's great. So I know that folks there in Minnesota have some really cool props. And again, another goal of this is to connect people who have been doing really creative stuff and have us share ideas. So thanks, Phyllis. And I imagine that if anyone wants some ideas or advice about constructing some of these props, that she or other people in the area would be happy to share some of those things. David Cobb says, will National be working with other organizations with experience at nonviolent civil disobedience, like Ruckus Society, National Lawyers Guild, etc.? Yeah, certainly. Thanks, David. We have in our plans to reach out to some of these organizations that have experience and learning from them and working with them on this. So definitely Ruckus Society is a big one. We've talked about that already. And that's another thing, too, that you can give us input on besides just action ideas is other groups. So if there's an organization or group in your area that you know has been doing things that are related, we would love to hear about it and connect with them. Okay, Dawn says, the political satire groups, Billionaires for Wealth Care and Republic Corps, were great at staging theatrical protests. Where are they when we need them? Have they dissolved? I'm not sure, but we can look into that for sure. Thank you for giving us those names. We'll see. Wonder where they are. Are there any more questions about this? I don't see any more typed in the chat bar right now. But if they come to you after this, you can feel free to give us a call. We're in the office Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, and I would love to talk with you about this. I'm really excited about this year and what it will turn into in the future. Will there be another webinar as this gets closer? That's a good question. I'm not sure if there'll be another webinar, but there will be lots of information to come. again, this webinar is more to kind of launch this idea, to get our thoughts stirring, and to ask for support and help in the committee. So as the committee gets together and develops these things, there'll be lots more information to come. I know it sounds kind of big right now, but we'll make it really digestible and doable. So you'll get more information either in webinar form or in another form, maybe both. Okay. So that looks like it's about it. And so I'll look for your emails and expect your phone calls. And if you want to be on the committee, think about that, and you'll see an application come to you soon. And please, specifically, if you have any of those skill sets or ideas that we already mentioned earlier, it would be great to have your input. And really excited to hear about what you've been doing and what you can think of. I think this could be really creative and a great tool for us. So, and just a reminder that once this webinar is over, you'll be sent to a feedback form. And if you wouldn't mind just staying on long enough to fill that out, it would be a great help to us. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and I look forward to talking with you about it in the future. All right. Good night, everyone.